Welcome to That Shady Buffalo podcast, a podcast about unimportant things that for some reason are important to us. Welcome to episode number 96. I am your host, David Cole, here solo for this podcast, and the first time back in like a year and a half or something like that. I think it's getting close to 2 years. I don't know. There's just been people reach out to me about like, hey, have you finished your podcast? Are you done with that? Or whatever, whatever, whatever. And so I was like, I have been thinking for a little while of like, what would I do if I came back? What would be something that would be interesting to me? Um, and so I've had a couple different ideas, had a couple of things that I was considering as a potential episode. And I do have some things in the works that are going to come after this, but I don't think we're going to get a lot of, we might not get consistent weekly content for a while. So I wanted to do two things. One, I watched The Fellowship of the Ring for its 25th anniversary in theaters last night. And I wanted to talk about that. So I will. That's why I'm sitting here in front of a microphone. But I also thought, well, I haven't been on here for a while, so I probably should at least let people know like what they should expect. Um, so I am planning on seeing The Two Towers and Return of the King. I will probably do something very similar, where I come on for a few minutes and talk about it myself. And I'm not going to talk about the movies in too much detail. I've already done that with my friends Vincent, Spencer, and Devin, and those were great episodes. Some of my favorite to make, and some of the most beloved in terms of like I don't know if you can say that, when you get like 30 listens, but 30 to 50 or whatever it is. But I've had people like say they love listening to those because most people, I mean, so many people love those movies. Number one, number two, they know that that group of friends, for me especially, are people that I sincerely love and have been close to for such a long time. There's a lot of chemistry there, and we have a good time, we have fun, and we cut up, and so it's fun to listen to. I think sometimes too for people. So. Go back and listen to those if you're curious, more in detail thoughts. I will talk a little bit about my thoughts here in a little bit, but I also wanted to just talk about the state of the channel and the podcast and what's going to happen. It's been so long since I've done this that I had to re-download the editing app that I use, which is just a free thing. Like anything I do, whether it's the Survivor Indianapolis stuff or it's this podcast stuff, I'm not making any money off this, so I'm not putting into it anything that will cost me a bunch of money. So it's not worth it. But it is fun to chat, and the community is fun. And for me, it's a way to get my thoughts out there and to see if anybody else feels similarly and wants to reach out and say, hey, I also felt like this, or I agree with that, or I disagree with that, and this is why. And let's talk about it. Because most people that listen to this podcast are people that know me. I don't think there's any like know me like personally, like they've met me and talked to me, and so because of that, it makes me it's a way not for me to be like, hey, look at me, I'm interesting, and you should listen to me because I'm cool, or I'm a genius or something. It's just I had the thought and the idea, and it's fun for me to do, and so I thought like throw it out there, and then if people engage and want to talk, that just is more conversation. That's kind of what I'm looking for. So, in terms of moving forward with the podcast, I am going to, like I said, do an episode probably on Two Towers and Return of the King when I watch those. Um, if I can get this posted, um, today is Saturday, the 17th of January. I watched Fellowship on the 16th yesterday. I'm going to see Two Towers tomorrow night at 9 p.m. And if anybody wants to come join me, if I get this out, I went and saw, well, I'll get into more details. I'm getting ahead of myself. But if anybody wants to see Two Towers with me tomorrow night, 9 p.m., hit me up. I bought my ticket today, and it looked like the entire theater was open, which is awesome. Because not awesome because I don't want to be alone, but like the theater last night was not empty. I think it was pretty much sold out. Maybe the first row or so was not, but the last few rows were very packed. Um, so we're gonna do those episodes, just me probably, and short form, 20 minutes or so maybe. I'm also wanting to talk about Stranger Things. I haven't finished the finale yet, the final episode. I've been kind of saving it for a time that I can just sit and watch the whole thing. And when you have a wife and a kid, and you and the wife like to watch it together, you have to watch it without the kid. and you have busy lives and you have different work schedules and you have different times that you're available and you're not available. And so we've been, the holidays are very, very busy for pretty much everybody, so we haven't had a chance to watch that yet. We do very much want to. And so once I do, what I actually think I want to do is go back and do a full rewatch, and that will take time. And so what I will probably do is some kind of content rewatching it, getting my thoughts on the show and the episodes, and with a twist of like, how does this look now that we know the end? Which that to me is the unique, interesting part of it that people might want to hear. I don't know, but if not, I'll just come and talk about it myself. And I don't know if I'll have a guest or not. I haven't considered. I mean, I've talked to some people, but I haven't like fully planned anything else out other than the fact that I do want to do a rewatch and I do want to do some content on it. Whether that'll be season by season, episode by episode, I don't know. We'll see. I also, my friend John Crabtree and Alex Golden, we've done the different food brackets, different things like that. John has had at least one idea of something that he wants to do for a food episode, and so I've said, hey, buddy, like if you want to get that done, if you want to do that, I mean, like let's figure it out a time and we can try to organize. I think it would be more fun to do that in person if possible, or I don't know, like there has to be a way to eat it in person on the show without it being too much silence. And just a way to do it together, I think would be really fun instead of having to do it through Zoom. We can do it. We might have to record it in Zoom, but you know what I mean. And so we're working on that, and so that could be coming. I'm not exactly sure when or how soon, but and then I don't know. That's all I really have thought of and planned right now. So I don't think that that means like, oh, we're gonna get a new episode every week because I don't really have a whole lot more to that I have planned to talk about. There's more movies and stuff coming out. I rewatched Dune Part One recently. I'm loving. I'm excited for Part Three to come out. I'm sure I'll do something about Part Three when it comes out. That's the end of the year. It's not coming anytime soon, so if I put this out, on Saturday or Sunday, January 17th or 18th, and then there's like, an episode next week about Two Towers and the week after that about Return of the King, then even if there's no way, even if by then we can get the food one together and do the food episode. I don't want to spoil it, so I'm just keep saying food. But there's no way that I could, even if we could get that one together in 3 weeks, um, and recorded and edited and then put up, that's 4 episodes in 4 weeks. There's no way that I could get to Stranger Things rewatch in 5 weeks. You know what I mean? So there's a very high chance that we're gonna have a few episodes come out real quick and then maybe a little bit of a gap. Um, we're getting close to episode 100, and I don't really know what I want to do for that. Maybe just nothing, just like, hey, it's 100, here it is. Nothing special. But anyways, that's kind of where we're at with the state of the channel. And so let's talk about the Fellowship of the Ring. The last time I rewatched all three of them, I finalized my opinion that it was my favorite of the three. Nothing I saw tonight, last night, it made me feel otherwise. And in fact, I think emotionally, at least, it hit me harder than it's hit me maybe ever. By the end, I'll be totally transparent. I didn't really cry the whole movie. I got emotional. I would kind of get teary-eyed a little bit, maybe, or at least I'd feel that emotion where you kind of your body gets like tingly almost. You get like the goosebumps and you feel the emotion. But by the end of the movie with Frodo and Sam, and the lines there, Frodo is weeping on the shoreline, realizing what he has to do, not really wanting to do it. Um, and he is crying and he's reflecting on Gandalf's last conversation they had, where he says something. I may butcher a word or two here, but something along the lines of, "I wish none of this had ever happened. I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had ever happened." And then Gandalf says, "So do all who live to face such times. But that is not up to them to decide. All we have to do is decide what to do with the time that is given to us." And he then makes that decision. Okay, I gotta go. And then Sam, of course, comes up and is like, "No, you're not leaving. I'm going with you." And then he reiterates for the second time the promise that he made to Gandalf, of, don't you leave him, Samwise Gamgee. And so like, I was by the end of the movie, because like that whole sequence, I'm crying, just like tears like rolling down my cheeks. And I'm not like heavy like sobbing or anything crazy. I was in control of myself, but I tried to let the emotion go, and it was just like tears rolling down sides of my cheeks. If you can't, if you're not watching on YouTube, then you're not gonna see. I'm doing some hand motions and stuff. Sorry. I'm also gonna show really cool. There's been a lot of really cool popcorn. Little prize buckets and things like that you can get with a movie. Some of them have like a cup or something like that. Like when me and John saw the animated Lord of the Rings movie, and now I can't remember the name of it. Something Rohirrim, War of the Rohirrim, something like that. I don't remember now. I got him the popcorn bucket, which is a giant hammer. This was for his birthday, and I got this giant like mug goblet thing that was really cool. So this one I think is significantly cooler than maybe either one of those. I don't know. John might disagree. This is the popcorn bucket. If you're not seeing it on the camera on YouTube, it says Lord of the Rings 25th anniversary or 25th, 25, with the insignia of the ring, the inscription that's actually on the ring. And it has this really cool map where it says the realm of Middle Earth at the bottom here. It even has like a mile marker so you can like measure the distance. And actually, like I would assume it's mostly accurate. I don't know, but it has a map of Middle Earth all around the side of it. It goes around the whole rest of the popcorn tin, and it is metal, which is really cool. So it's a very nice reusable popcorn tin. And you got these. I thought when I like saw it, I thought you would get like a randomized magnet to go with it, and actually you get all four magnets. So you have these four magnets here. I haven't punched them out yet. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So the first one is the ring. You can see it here. The camera's kind of blurry. I don't know if it's because the lights are dim or what, but it's the ring, and they all can stick to the bucket, which is a neat little thing. The second one I'll pull out here is one of the leaves of Lorien that is like the brooch that ties or keeps their cloaks at their neck um, from Galadriel. And then we have one that's just the eye, which is fantastic. The great eye here. And then you have the last one. It's harder to get out, so I saved it for last. And it is the gift that Arwen gives to Aragorn. I believe this is called the Even Star. I'm not 100% sure about that. I could be wrong. If someone that is a bigger book nerd than me and a book reader than me, I've read the books three times each, but that was back in high school, so it's been a while. And this movie did make me want to read them again. I will say that. It made me think of a few different things. So I'll get into the actual experience of the movie to me, more than I already did of me just crying at the end. But it, for one, made me want to get out and hike more and just do more outside. It too made me want to read the books and just read more, but read the books I'm pointing back. I keep pointing back here because that's my bookshelf back there. It actually like right, you can see Dune, and right here are the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and The Hobbit is I think the teal one. Um, and then after that is the Harry Potter series. This is all like the series, nerdy series books. There's Game of Thrones, Dune, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and then this is a trilogy by Neil Shusterman. It's a sci-fi trilogy, a little more modern. There's The Hunger Games, I'm not even that big of a fan of now. And these are some DVDs, Lost and Survivor. So if you're listening to the audio, I'm sorry. On the YouTube, I'm pointing some stuff out over here behind me, but um, then yeah, that second shelf is just all Star Wars, all Star Wars books. So that is one thing that made me want to do the movie, made me want to get outside more and kind of like go see the world. Not like necessarily like the whole world, but just like be out in nature. I've always loved hiking, and when I went to Hawaii with Stacy's one of my favorite vacations ever, probably my favorite vacation ever. We spent most of it outside, the vast majority of it outside, other than when we were going to bed and stuff, and we were driving. And another one of my favorite vacations ever was when we went to Salt Lake City to help out with the Fridleys at their church there. We were just trying to help in the community and a couple of services they had there, and we went hiking a bunch and saw some really incredible stuff out there in Salt Lake City. That place is gorgeous. Um, and like it just made me miss that. The Hawaii trip I think was 2021, and or maybe it was, yeah, I think it was spring 2021, and then the Salt Lake City trip was before we were married, so it was like 12 or 13 or so years ago, maybe, I don't know, so a while. Um, it made me want to do that kind of stuff again. Go out west. and just go to national parks and that kind of thing. It I also was really struck by, I think the last thing I'll talk about for the movie was the characters and the character development. I think it's been said a million times probably that this movie is exceptional for its world building and this beginning of the story and setting it up so perfectly. But I think that the character development in this movie is exceptional. And one last thing I think I'll say before I get into that, um, because I want to end on that, because that to me was like my biggest takeaway, film critique wise, that I hadn't, not sure I'd fully like developed in my brain yet. But before the movie started, first of all, this there was a 5 minute before the movie started video from Peter Jackson that was pretty modern, pretty recent. I don't know when he filmed it, but it couldn't have been more than 6 months or so ago, probably. I don't know. Talking about the fellowship and the experience and thanking the fans for coming to see the movie and gave a couple of cool little stories about the filming of the movie, things to look out for and that kind of thing. It was a really cool little thank you, and it was like generally I've seen those before, and it's like 30 seconds, so maybe a minute. This was like 5-ish minutes. Um, and I mean, I think it was actually more than that. I think it was more like 7 or 8 because I have a 5 minute video recording. I recorded a little, like a bit of it, and I got 5 minutes, and I definitely didn't record the first like minute or so. So it was at least 6 or 7 minutes. So yeah, Um, but the that was really cool. But it started right at 8, which is our movie time. So we didn't have any trailers or anything like that, which was really, really cool. And it was the first time, not only the first time I've ever seen this movie in theaters, but also it was the first time I've ever been able to watch the extended edition, because it was the extended edition. First time I've ever been able to see it without having to insert disc two, without it stopping where Pippin says, "Great, so where are we going?" After the Council of Elrond, and they all are going to go be the Fellowship of the Ring, go on this great trek. That's where the first disc stops, and you have to put in the second disc, and there's a little break there. And I have often broken the movie up into two movies and watched it 2 different days, or maybe you stop and go get a snack or something, and then you start part two, whatever. But just to be able to watch it fluidly all the way through was something I never been able to do before because it doesn't exist in that format. You can't do that. So it's always two discs, so you have to have two physical. You have to like physically go put in the other disc. And I'm not sure, maybe on streaming you can do that, but I've never streamed it because I never needed to. And I don't know now. You might be able to stream the extended edition because I know it was on HBO Max at one point. So, but I just have never done that, so that was cool. So anyways, I was talking about the characters. I'll wrap it up here, talking about the character development. And I think that like when I think about this movie, it's most like the most prevalent theme is innocence and ignorance in the face of, it's focused on the idea of innocence and ignorance in the face of evil. Um, and that's not like a theme per se. This is like the beginnings of a theme. So I don't know what the actual, I haven't actually, like, I didn't even mean to phrase it like this when I was thinking about it before, but I was like, well, I mean, it is kind of a theme, but generally a theme would have a statement about that, like, what it takes to face evil when you are so innocent, and that kind of thing, what it can do to people when you're innocent and ignorant and you have to face evil, or innocent or ignorant. And I keep using the word ignorant, and it might sound like an insult, but like it really is not, in this situation at least. So I think you see this in the four hobbits plus Bilbo and Boromir. And Boromir was a character for me that I've always loved Boromir, but I read the book first. So I had the book version of him in my head. Sean Bean does an incredible job. He at times is like you're so scared of him, and at times you're so like this guy is wrong and maybe even evil. I don't know. And at times he is like so charismatic that it seems very kind, and you're not sure where's the real Boromir at. And I think the real like a value in that thought is that is the real Boromir, and that is what makes him interesting and powerful. And you get more information about him in the Two Towers, well, the movie at least in the extended edition, when you see more about his brother Faramir, and you learn more about his father Denethor, and you realize that like this is a man that is really uh, hard to pin down in terms of because he has his own personal motivations and feelings, but he also is operating his father is operating through him in ways that we don't know yet. in ways that we will not know until after he has died. And so there are certain actions and certain phrases that he's saying that you're like, you realize later, oh, that was Denethor talking through him, not literally, but like any father and son, his son, he wants to make his dad proud. And it's hard for him to see the flaws in his father, probably the way that we see Denethor. We're like, this guy is crazy, he's terrible. But this is, and also he got worse after Boromir left. So Boromir, he wasn't quite as bad when Boromir left to go to Elrond and to go to Rivendell. But it's hard as a child to see that your parents have flaws and to really fully understand that. And so even though Boromir is a grown man in this movie, he is not his father is not just a father figure, but he is like the steward of a major city, the major city of the realm of men in this world, someone that is to be respected and to like be looked up to for leadership. And so it's hard to be like, well, this guy is wrong. He's the leader. That's a difficult thing for some people to do, and especially for Boromir. And so there's a lot of times where you can tell he's trying to operate from what his father would like him to do, and there are times where he is operating under his own like his own thoughts and feelings. And I think there's so many times in the movie where I noticed that he would like put a hand on his shoulder. Like I never caught that it was him before. I always remember, so when they're in the Mines of Moria, they're at Balin's tomb, Gimli falls to his knees and is weeping. Um, and I always remember somebody putting their hand on his shoulder. And because of the relationship of Legolas and Gimli we get in Two Towers and Return of the King, I had always just assumed it was Legolas. But I already had noticed a couple of things from Boromir on this rewatch, and I was like, "Is that Boromir?" And then they zoom back, and it is Boromir. That's consoling Gimli, and Boromir um, is consoling the hobbits when Gandalf dies, and he's the one that says, "Give him a moment for pity's sake," advocating for the hobbits needing some time to like just give him a second. He's the one that is like trying to help train Merry and Pippin in swordplay when they first leave Rivendell. There's so many moments where he is like this kind, compassionate figure in looking out for people that are less capable, looking out for the innocent, looking out for the ignorant. Um, and that is very interesting. And he also, to some extent, is also a little ignorant. He does not fully understand the ring and the evils of the ring and how the ring operates. And that is a part of how I think, in my opinion, my interpretation is it's a part of how the ring is able to manipulate him subtly through small moments to where he does end up trying to take the ring because he realizes how wrong he was after Frodo is out of his grasp and the ring has kind of left him and stopped messing with him and stopped trying to get him to grab for it. He is like, "Oh, I made a mistake." And tells Aragorn on his deathbed, I messed up. I did what I did, shouldn't have done. I made a mistake, but he had to learn that mistake, which means he was ignorant, right? That's what ignorance is. You don't know. And Pippin and even Merry and Sam and Bilbo show ignorance multiple times in the movie. Frodo gets stabbed on Weathertop because the other three hobbits are cooking and making a fire on Weathertop. That's ignorance, right? And it's not like willful ignorance. It's not intentional ignorance. It's just they don't have this experience. They don't have this uh, knowledge of how dangerous what they're doing is. It's literally like a child touching a stove for the first time and like, oh, it's hot. Um, that's not like stupidity. It is ignorance. And it's just and Bilbo not understanding the power of the ring when he has it, Gandalf to some extent not realizing that ring was as dangerous as what it was. Very interesting stuff that I had never really like pieced together all at once. And Pippin messing with the arrow that's attached to this corpse of a skeleton of a dwarf that falls through this well and awakens the goblins and the orcs. Um, is ignorance. You might think, what did he think was going to happen? Well, he didn't know. How much experience does he have with a dead body? Probably none, right? This is not Gandalf, who's been around for forever. This is not even Aragorn, who's been around for hundreds of years and has fought and has seen war and battle and death, right? This is not warriors like Legolas and Gimli and Boromir. These are hobbits that all they know is peace and they're little small town comforts and they're learning, but they don't know that they haven't learned yet. They're just learning. And all of that stuff is just to me was so interesting, and how it leads to Frodo and Sam being, and even Merry and Pippin, being like, you know what, like, and Bilbo, all of them, they all have a moment of like realization. And Bilbo's, I think, comes when he tries to take the ring back from Frodo in Rivendell. And he says, "I'm sorry, my dear boy, I'm sorry for everything." And he just sobs. It's like he knows, like, I have put this incredible evil on my nephew, whom I love dearly, and I don't know what I could have done. I don't. What else could he have done? It's like he made a mistake, but like, it was out of ignorance, um, and out of innocence, out of because they are so innocent. They haven't been um, out in the world and fought and done, heroic deeds or bad deeds. They've just been kind of sheltered from all of that, and so it was very interesting to me. And then it all does lead to Frodo and Sam making that choice to face evil head on, um, alone, with nobody else to protect them other than themselves, with the knowledge that they are not capable on their own. They are not. They are just innocent and ignorant hobbits, and they don't have the ability on their own. But they have the heart and the courage and the willingness to do it anyways. Which to me is like that to me is a message full of hope, and is incredibly inspiring, and it's really cool. And it's a part of why those Gandalf quotes just hit so hard, and the emotion at the end of the movie hits just the way it's supposed to, and it works so well. And especially for me in that moment, as a 36-year-old Lord of the Rings nerd, movie nerd, book nerd, all that stuff. Not just of these movies, but just in general. I love fiction. I love books and short stories, and I love movies and TV shows. And um, as someone who already loves that kind of stuff and reads too much into that kind of stuff sometimes, and as somebody who I was really happy to be able to experience this with my cousins Christian and Carson, and with my uncle Russell Fowler, but he goes by Rusty or Russ a lot of times. Usually I just call him Russ, but um, we were able to watch that together, and just to be with people that I care about and love in that moment was cool. We got dinner together and chatted for a while, and it was just a really fun night. And so, especially like, there's been some things that have happened in life, as it does, the last few months, that have just made me like really want to be focused and intentional around the people that I care about the most. And not that those three people are the only three people that I care about, obviously, or that they're the top three people that I care about, but I love them deeply. The same way I talked about, other people that I've had as guests on the podcast, and my family and friends that I'm really close to, that I care about a lot. Those are the kinds of people that I want to be intentional about, and be the kind of friend that Sam is to Frodo. It sounds really cheesy, but like, Sam is able to figure out what Frodo's going to do before anybody else, pretty much. And that's why he is not with everybody else. He's not with Merry and Pippin are together out in the woods trying to escape the orcs, you know. Uh, and Boromir is just trying to get the ring. Frodo, Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn, they realize that Frodo's gone, and they go try to find him. And so they realize that Frodo's gone with Boromir, and they're kind of worried, but they don't think he's leaving right away. And then even I talked about how everyone has their moment of making a choice, like the hobbits especially. Like Frodo has his moment at the shoreline, and then Sam has to make the decision. I'm going to get in the water even though I can't swim. I'm going to try to get to the boat. Merry and Pippin make the conscious effort to, you know what, we could try to hide here. They were hiding safe when they see Frodo, and they realize that Frodo's not going to come with them, that Frodo's leaving, and they make the choice. Pippin, it seems like he goes to try to get with Frodo, to like go stand with Frodo, but after they are out there in the open, they both make the decision to distract all the orcs, and try to help Frodo in his mission. And so it's like the power of friendship, so to speak. But I think that this movie, a big part of it is friendship, and being willing to just do things for your friend. Like Merry and Pippin in the beginning just help Frodo after they realize this Dark Rider's after him. They don't have any information. Like, they just help. They're just good friends. And I think Mary in the books is supposed to be related distantly to Frodo, but I can't remember that for sure. But like, the books don't really, I mean, the movies don't really worry about that too much. But they just decide to help, because they're good friends. And that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to make sure that I'm focused on, whether it's friends or family, just people that I care about and love. With all that sappiness aside, though, we're gonna get out of here, head out. I think that this was probably 10 or 15 minutes longer than I meant it to be, to no one's surprise. But I'm watching the Two Towers tomorrow, and I will do a recording for that. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.